And one lesson you're going to learn really fast is that majority of those people come to you fueled by short-term motivation.
Welcome to Maxed Out Man, helping you become the man you were made to be.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Maxed Out Man podcast. Today I'm here with Chad Austin. Super excited to have him. Fitness guy who's always right up my alley there. Before we get started, don't forget to go to maxoutman.com, check out all the stuff we've got going on there. And don't forget to check out additional episodes of this podcast, rate and review. Helps us get more people to listen. And all that, maxoutman.com. Chad is the owner of Priority Fitness in Overland Park, Kansas, and is also a best-selling, award-winning author of the book series Make Fitness a Priority. Chad is the former host of the talk radio show Be Fit for Life and has been featured guest on over 50 podcasts. His quote is, "In a world that's flooded with promises of instant gratification, shortcuts, quick fixes, and easy buttons, Chad helps his clients get off the inconsistency roller coaster so they can improve their quality of life with long-term fitness success." I felt like I should have done like "in a world," like do the movie guy. Hey man, I'm proud. I appreciate you coming on board. I'm interested in hearing kind of your perspective and what you do. And I think that's a great place to start. If you want, what I like to do up front is just give us your story. Like, how did you get to where you're at right now, what you've got going on, and then that'll just start us off.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here. So I've been in personal training, or I've been in fitness for 20 years now. I've been a personal trainer since 2006. I was actually a teacher, PE teacher and wrestling coach for a few years first. So personal training was actually a career change for me. And I really thought it was just going to be kind of a temporary stop till I found my next teaching and coaching job, because that was where my passion started. But it just ended up being a much better fit for me. And I've been doing it ever since. And so I really like it. I kind of evolved a ton in fitness over the years. I was a college athlete. And so when I started in personal training in my early 20s, naturally, a lot of my clientele was athletes, and that was where it started for me. And then I evolved into more of helping people get past the short-term motivation that gets them to get started with the trainer to thinking past it. How can I get something that sticks long-term in my life in fitness? And that's what started my book series. I had a book, Make Fitness a Priority, that I wrote in 2015. And that's what Priority Fitness, my studio, was actually named after. And one book turned into a fitness community, and then turned into 3 books, actually, and became a whole book series. And where I'm at now, about 20 years in, our community has changed the name. It's called the Fitness Pivot now. With the mindset that when plan A no longer fits, how do you pivot to plan B? So I've learned over time that, even though people want fitness, people understand how important fitness is and they want to keep it in their life, it's life's unexpected curveballs that we all go through that throw us off track and cause fitness to fall out of life and get us to fall into that inconsistency roller coaster. And when that happens, we're really good at adapting to change when it comes to our family, our career, our faith, those things that we think as most important in our lives. When it comes to fitness, it always tends to be something we're going to get to later that we put off. And I've learned that I can really make an impact if I help teach people how to adjust faster to change when it comes to fitness. And that way they can use fitness to show up as the best version of themselves to life. And so that's kind of what I've really realized over time. There's basic lessons that took me 20 years to learn. Sometimes the most important lessons are the ones that are right in front of us. We just can't seem to grasp it. And so I've grasped those now. And so I help people figure out how fitness fits in their life so they can keep fitness a priority in their life, no matter what happens.
That's awesome. I love that. My background is similar to yours. I actually started out life I have a degree in exercise physiology, started as a personal trainer, ran health clubs, and then just have done it for myself and for my wife for all these years. But so I've probably 30 plus years doing it that way, but I haven't done it vocationally for quite some time. What kind of ways have you taken? I had this conversation with a buddy of mine the other day, and it's something I've been working on in my own mind, is getting out of that old school mentality that it sounds like probably as you first got started in your 20s working with athletes, that was kind of the modality, right? Like it's just work harder, push hard, you know, marginal nutrition sometimes. What kind of things have you done over time to adapt? Because I assume your demographic then has changed over time as well. Like I'm interested in that transition process, because one of the things I'm trying to do much more emphasize on rest and listening to my body. And that's like that's not the guy's personal trainer way to do things, right? Like this morning I woke up, I'm supposed to my wife and I are running this afternoon. I was supposed to have leg day today, and I'm like, my body is just not, like, I'm just not ready for leg day today. And so I'm just going to push it off tomorrow. And wrapping my mind around that is a friggin' big challenge. So I'm curious how that transition has gone for you over the last couple of decades.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat this week. My Monday workout happened today on a Tuesday, and my today's workout happened to hopefully be tomorrow. So it's one of those weeks for me too. I'm definitely proof, or I'm definitely fit the mold of the saying that, when you become a coach, you become a better athlete. When you become a teacher, you become a better student. I think as I've become a personal trainer, and just because of my own fitness journey and those, we're hard-headed sometimes, and those lessons are that we have to learn over and over again before we really get them. But it's made me a better personal trainer. And so my clientele has shifted to more middle-aged, or I have a lot of clients in their 60s and 70s too. And they're really just people that, fitness has been a part of their life in spurts. And so now I'm helping them really see how you keep it a part of your life. But I think it really starts with just the reason we get stuck on what I call the inconsistency roller coaster. And it's that not getting past that I'm too busy excuse. And I feel like I've learned when people say I'm too busy, what we really mean is I'm too busy to work out like I used to. It's because we can't. So whenever we're ready to get in shape again, so we put fitness off a little bit because something big has happened, changed in our life, whether it be good or bad. And we've adjusted to it in everywhere in our lives except for fitness. And so now it's time to get in better shape, and we're eager to get started. But every time we get there, we always think of the last time in our life we were in great shape, or the last time we had great results. And whatever we did for our workouts, whatever we did for our nutrition, that's the bar. It's like doing anything less than that is not doing enough. And if we can't do it, we might as well not even try. And so it's like, we'll be ashamed of doing less than that. That's like the athletes in us from the past. We don't want to, we can't do less. And we have teaching myself and then teaching my clients to take that way of thinking and just throw it out the window. Like, doing less does not mean it's less of a priority. All it means is it fits differently now. But when I look at my own history from when I started as a trainer, I told you it was a big career change for me. And so it was another big change because I went from being a really small town to Kansas City, to a bigger city. And I didn't know anybody. I was brand new to the city. I was brand new to the gym, and I was the new trainer out of like 15 trainers. So I lived right behind the gym. So I had all this time. So I didn't have a lot of clients yet. I worked out 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, and was in great shape. And I was in my early 20s. And now things have changed so much in my life. I was a bachelor then. I'm married now. I have a business with multiple things that go along with it. We own a home. I do so much more responsibilities. There's no way what I did then would fit in my life. And if I tried to force it, the balance of my life would get screwed up. If I tried to, you can't, so what you do for life, for your fitness, has to fit in your life. If you try to force it, then the other things that are important to you, your relationships, your job, your passions, those things are going to suffer. And so if it doesn't fit, it won't be there very long. And that's how we get stuck, where fitness is just a part of our life in spurts. And it's almost like we have to learn that hard lesson so many times before then we can just be okay with it. But that is something, learning it myself makes it easier for me to teach it to other people, because I'm not perfect. I've fallen off track so many times with fitness, and every fitness professional has. If they try to say they haven't, they're lying, because everyone's human. No one's immune to life's changes and life's obstacles. And I lean into that because I know it makes me better as a trainer and a better mentor for my clients.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was training, I was a pretty successful trainer, primarily because I wasn't a big guy. I have way more muscle mass than I weighed. Like, I have more lean body mass than I weighed whenever I was full-time personal trainer. And I used to tell my clients, look, I don't like working out either, really. Like, I'm not one of those gym rat guys. I do this because it's really good for my health. I want to live a long, healthy, quality life, and I'm vain. Like those, which I think, which, you know, there's a vanity component to all health and fitness, I think. And I think to your point, that helps to let people know that. And just to your point about falling off the wagon, right? Everything has gone up and down. I've been 20 pounds of fat heavier and 20, you know, much more lean and all that. So we all go through those things. And I think being able to go through those transition periods and figure out what it is that works best within our lifestyle. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, and we were talking about kind of routine and just things that you do every single day. And I don't ask, and I'm sure that you're the same way. It's like, you don't ask if I'm going to work out. It's like, when am I going to work out? Like, and typically it's it's whatever the time is that works best for you and all that. And I'm assuming you do that same thing with your clients to make it that lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely do that exact same thing. And then it's learning, if you didn't work out, then why didn't you? How can we do better next week? And then you can learn certain patterns about yourself. Like, I definitely know when we talk about when I'm going to work out, I got to do it in the morning, because especially if it's later in the week, because if I don't do it in the morning, I got all day to talk myself out of it. And if it's been a busy, stressful day, it's not going to happen probably at the end. I got my motivation for my workout zone has got to be at a maximum level for me to do it at the end of the day. I mean, a lot of times I can be in spurts where I know I can handle it and then it's okay. But when my motivation is lacking, then I know I can't, I'm setting myself up to fail if I do that. And so just knowing that about your clients too. So the one thing that's tough for people to get over that I've learned a lot of times with the clients is sometimes you hear it as a trainer and you realize, okay, they're setting themselves up to fail because they're trying to work out at a very terrible time. Like, it used to be that they worked out after work every single day, but now their job has changed. Their job is way more stressful. They're exhausted when they get off work. They have nothing left for a workout. And they're battling in their head thinking, well, I just don't want it bad enough anymore. I don't care about my results bad enough anymore. No, it's like you're setting yourself up to fail because you're exhausted because you're using so much more of your energy at work and you got nothing left. And so if you need to just change your workout to where you've got a better chance to get it done. And so that's little things like that. I think that, there's no shortcut to experience, but being a trainer for as long as we have, that's the closest thing, right? So it's us having the chance to be a mentor and see these little things that clients can't quite see is valuable.
Yeah, and it's funny how people, and I mean us included, because you said you've kind of gone through some of this stuff, but it's so funny how we can, first of all, working out later in the day when you're short on time in the morning always sounds like a great idea in the morning. And then as it gets closer to that time, like, we're going to go run after this, and I'm like, we should have run this morning, but I'm still going to do it. But then, like, that whole mindset of I'm working so much harder now that I don't feel like working out, and being able to make that jump to, like, if I worked out, even if I did that minimum, do something, I would feel so much better overall to be able to face the rest of my day too.
Yeah. I think that's such a good thing that people need to realize for their morning workouts. Like, when someone switches from the evening to the morning, then it's like, well, you try to say, well, I'm not a morning person. Well, no, that you don't know that yet. You have a habit of sleeping in, and so now we're trying to give you a habit of getting up. And so their mindset can be, well, I feel so tired. It'd probably be better if I hit snooze and got more sleep. Or you could say instead, I'm so tired. I'd probably feel better if I got up and got a workout in. I'd feel better for the rest of the day. And so just that little bit of a mind shift you can help your clients make. This is one of those things where I constantly, every time I have to change my workouts around, this is me speaking to myself in the mirror. It's like most of the stuff I tell my clients is stuff I need to tell. I'm really good at telling you this right now because this is the exact same stuff I got to tell myself.
I get it. Yeah. My friend calls it, he always talks about it at, like, the snooze, for example, that's an integrity issue, right? Like, and he talks about integrity as integrity with ourselves. Not necessarily, because you always think of integrity as like an outward thing. Like, if I said I was going to be here at this time to do this podcast and I didn't show up, then that would be an integrity issue. But every time you hit that snooze alarm when you told yourself you were going to get up at that time, that's an integrity issue also. Like you're
Yeah.
breaking a promise that you made to yourself last night if you hit that snooze button and you never make it to the gym.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant has so many amazing little speeches, like little shorts you can find on the internet that talk about that thing where he calls them the non-negotiable. So like, there's no discussion. I made a deal with myself. I'm not just, the deal is never off. I have to. This is a non-negotiable. There's no negotiating here.
Yeah, I'm curious your thoughts. One of the battles that I've had, and I'm 52. So my wife's basically the same age. She's about 6 months younger than us, but she is kind of the exception to the rule for women that love weight training. And we've kind of battled the last couple of decades with her on getting out of, because we grew up in the 90s, which was like skinny supermodels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she's finally at a point where like, I want to get super strong. I want to embrace the fact that I have big, strong shoulders and strong back and all that, right? I'm curious your philosophy and how you are able to get more women. And I mean, this is a podcast primarily geared towards men, but we also want to help the men get their wives and girlfriends or other women in their lives kind of involved in this fitness thing, right? Like, how do you have those conversations, and what are your thoughts around that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, what you said about being the kids of the 90s for the women, that was the time frame. Just look at all the 90s sitcoms there, like Friends, and Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston were so thin, and Scrubs, any of those shows, everyone was so, that was the look, right? To be very skinny, and everyone was terrified to lift weights. So I think that comes in waves. And so I feel like actually we're in a good spot now, where the wave that's stronger right now is that it's trending to work out. For women, it's more popular to go and lift. And so that's a fortunate thing for us. But the way that I found it just to be the easiest is that I've been fortunate in my fitness community. I've had tons of really good examples of this, like women that are in their 30s or 40s that used to just love cardio and that was it, but now they have really jumped into weight training and they love it, and so they do way more of that. Then they would always choose weight training over cardio. And if you have examples like that, and those examples are people that they look the way that your client wants to look, I mean, that makes your life so much easier. And I've been fortunate over the last 5 to 10 years. That's been examples that I've had around me that I can point to. It's like, she's someone that lifts every day and is stronger than a lot of the men clients I have. And that's who you are always complimenting. And so having examples like that you can point to can help a lot.
Yeah, and it's cool because we're starting to see more and more on social media these women in their 60s and 70s and 80s. And I can't remember the name of this woman, but she's on TikTok, and literally it shows her progression on doing a box jump. And when she first starts, like she can barely jump off the ground in 6 inches. And then she's doing like 24-inch box jumps by the end of this video showing, and she's lifting and she's like in her 70s. And so
that's awesome.
One of the things I found when I was training, I'm sure you've had this too, because you're dealing with older clients in some ways, your body responds the same no matter obviously it's a relative response, but it's going to respond whether you're 20 years old or 80 years old. And so that's hopefully one thing that we're showing a lot of the women. And the same thing, what you're saying, like I'll take videos of my wife's back when she's doing back to say, this is what I see, and this is so awesome. It's like, because she just has a naturally muscular back. And so as she leans and as she does exercises so I love to take videos and say, look how awesome this is, and have her super excited and all that.
Yeah, that's being an awesome training partner right there. That's just so important to celebrate all those wins, especially when it was tough to get that mindset to get into it the first place. But yeah, having that, not only celebrate those wins, but have someone that you can celebrate, that's going to celebrate with you. I mean, that's an A+ on your training partner right there.
It was so cool because some of her goals are to try to do pull-ups, which are really hard for women, right? And dips and then full push-ups, right? So she can do push-ups and she's working on her pull-ups. She went to do dips the other day, and she was using one of the bands, an assisted band, because we work out at our home gym, so we don't have a full assisted dip machine. But she starts doing it, and she's like, "This is way too easy." Like, so she threw the band in way, was able to rip out a bunch of like full-on real dips, and she would like. This chick was so excited to be able to do that and to see that win. What kind of wins are you like? How do you show women those wins? Like, what kind of things as a trainer are you celebrating with some of your clients that kind of look in that same direction?
Yeah, I love celebrating wins. I think it's one of the most important parts of the job of a fitness professional, because especially when someone jumps into starting making fitness a big part of their life, it can seem like, depending on the goal, it can seem like the finish line is so far away. Mm-hmm. And if you only focus on that, it's like most things in fitness, we're in the world of instant gratification right now, and then, of course, New Year's resolutions, everyone's expected to fail. And there's phrases like it only takes 21 days to build a habit and things like that are just all myths. It's not true. It's all about more consistency. It's all catering towards our impatience, And so if they only look at the finish line, it can be so hard to make it. So getting our clients to look at what they've accomplished and celebrating every win and making a big deal out of every win, I think that is really how you build fitness as a habit and make it something that you really is an identity change for you. But yeah, and it doesn't matter what kind of win it is, if it's for strength or if it's just for them getting all their workouts in, or maybe they'll have a comment that they enjoyed their workout. No matter how small it is,
that didn't suck as bad as I thought it was going to suck.
Actually, or if they're looking forward to something, I noticed that they're excited to do a certain thing that maybe in the past they wouldn't have been. And so all those things are big to point out. I never let any of those things go by unnoticed, because I think it's just so important to just the growth. And, really when you're making fitness a priority in your life, you are going through an identity change. I mean, if you want it to be long-term, you are. And so, picking out all of those little changes in behavior as you go, I think are so important.
Talk to me about identity. Is interesting because that's been something that's kind of been, for whatever reason, I've talked about identity 3 times already today. And I'm actually doing a keynote next week, and part of my keynote is about identity. And it's been in different ways, but talk to me about that. When you teach your clients about their identity, and your identity before and identity in the future around health and fitness, what kind of give me that spiel, for lack of a better term, because I want people to understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, my goal with all of my clients, I mean, I've evolved a lot as a trainer. And so when I first started in fitness, and when you start at a gym, I don't know if you ever started as a trainer at a gym before.
Yeah, but I did.
Yeah. So I was at 24 Hour Fitness for 4 years. And so I think every time you're at a gym like that, you train a lot of clients, because it's a gym that has a lot of members. And one lesson you're going to learn really fast is that majority of those people come to you fueled by short-term motivation. Right. So there's something coming up in their lives that has got them to hire you, to come and to get started, where there could be a wedding or a reunion or an event they're training for, or vacation, swimsuit season, something is coming up that they want fast results for. And it's rewarding as a trainer to help someone get those fast results and have them feel better going into that event, feel better about themselves. But you learn right away that those short-term goals all lead to short-term results. Because as soon as that event's done that they're training for, so does everything that they've been doing. And so they're going to eventually go back to where they were before. And so right away, you start to kind of have your mind shift as a trainer that, if you really want to make an impact, you got to help them. You help this be a long-term thing. You got to change the way someone thinks. And so I have a phrase that I call being a fitness fisherman. And so I want my impact to be much longer than temporary. I didn't sign up to just make an impact short term with someone. I want my impact to be long after my time with them is over. And the way I can do that is teach them. So like the fitness fisherman phrase comes from the phrase, you give someone a fish, you feed them for a day. You teach someone to fish, you feed them for the rest of their life. So what I do now is I help my clients, I help them understand how to adapt when a life change happens, that they have to adapt not only to, everything that they automatically adapt to in their family, their job, things like that, but they have to adapt to to their health. They have to adapt to how fitness fits in their life now that it has changed. What we did before no longer fits because of this change. So now you have to hit the reset button. How does it fit now? And teaching someone just that little habit that they already do with their family and their career, but they don't do it with fitness. Teaching them how to do that, just the awareness to do that with fitness, it's giving them the tools to do it every time in the future that the next inevitable curveball comes from life. And they can, that way they can keep fitness a part of their life as they show up to everything. But that is the big identity change, because before they were on the inconsistency roller coaster where fitness was just a part of their life in spurts. So every time something changed in their life, they fell out of fitness for a while, and they had to kind of go through a little time of trying to figure it out again before they came back. And the longer fitness is out of your life, the farther you are from being the best version of yourself. Because really, when I know from myself, when I'm taking good care of myself and I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy, I'm getting good sleep, I'm doing all the healthy habits I know are important, I'm a better husband, I'm a better son, I'm a better trainer, better friend. I mean, I'm just better at everything. It overflows into all areas of my life. And on the other hand, when I don't, the opposite is true. I mean, I don't have the energy. I don't handle my stress and anxiety as well. I'm always in a bad mood, which probably hurts my relationships. And I'm probably the worst version of myself. And so it doesn't really matter what their top priorities in life are, because everyone's are different. But if they want to always show up as the best version of themselves, if they want to be that person that does that, then an identity change in fitness is important. And so that's really my goal with everybody, is just to help them see how important fitness is. And that by helping them, whether they like working out or not, if you're someone who likes showing up as the best version of yourself, you're going to start to enjoy the process. And that's good. That's going to cause you don't work out because you love working out. You love working out because of who it makes you be, who it makes you become.
Yeah, I love that. And and even if someone comes in and say, okay, I've got 12 weeks until this wedding, or I'm going to Cancun or whatever it is, right? You can still have that conversation with them to say that that's a good starting point. We can use that to motivate you to get, but like, I'm not into this. If you're done after 12 weeks, then I'm not the guy for you, right? Is that kind of your approach typically?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, and listeners, but motivation in any form is awesome. I mean, you always got to lean into any motivation that gets you started. It's just you got to find a way to keep it going. And so if it's the event that's coming up in 12 weeks, then you got to dig deep into why is it important that I feel better? Why is it important that I get these goals? And once you dig deeper the first time, dig deeper again. You got to keep get to the root of why this is important. Then ask yourself, wouldn't it be great if this stayed the case forever?
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, you gotta motivation to get you started, whatever motivation it is. If it's short term, that's fine. And every motivation is awesome, but if you don't look past it, it's only going to be temporary.
Yeah. And I like, because it's one of those things where like you can accomplish a ton in 12 weeks, right? And you can go not extreme, but you can go more aggressive than you would as a lifestyle, right? Say, okay, well, you've got this involved. So for me, if I wanted to cut down, if I want to drop a few percentage of body fat, I can do that and I can get really lean, but I know that I can't maintain that leanness every day of my life, because I would be a miserable human being.
Yeah.
To do so, right? Like, I mean, and that's, I had a buddy of mine has been a fitness model, does fitness modeling quite often. So we worked out together at a weekend that we went to, and I was like, great, I'm working out with a walking anatomy book. Thank you very much. Right. And so I was asking him, I was like, so do you maintain this, do you maintain a low level of leanness all the time? He goes, of course not. I am in this for the long haul and being super fit, and I can maintain a leanness that allows me to go back and forth, right? In order to, if he's doing, and that, those guys are more extreme than the average human, because they're getting super ripped and shredded and all of that stuff. But I think the point is solid that he can bring himself to be able to be more aggressive towards certain goals, but his lifestyle is consistent regardless of that.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and it's so important to see for people to see examples like that. Like, and I mean, even whether you look at an example like that from a professional bodybuilder, or example from a professional athlete, it's like there's a reason professional athletes have seasons.
You know, I've been super blessed to be able to feed into the lives of tons of men from all around the world and all walks of life. And I'm very excited to announce that I do have a couple of spots available right now. If you're interested in working with me, and we can talk about pretty much anything: marriage, business, fitness, parenting, being a dad, dogs, cars, whatever you want to talk about, I'm available to do that. We want to focus on the things that may be most beneficial to you, and some things that you may not even know would be beneficial to you. You've listened to the podcast, you kind of know my style. If you are interested in working with me, I want to try to make it as simple as possible, but I also want to make sure we're a good fit. Send an email to coaching@maxoutman.com and just give me 2 pieces of information: why you would like to work with me and what that might mean for you, what things you would hope to accomplish by meeting with me. That'll kick off the process. I'll reach back out to you. We can jump on a call and see whether or not it would be a good fit. So go to maxedoutman.com, coaching@maxedoutman.com. Send me an email with those 2 pieces of information, and we'll see if it's a good fit. And I hope it is, and I hope that we can actually connect.
Right? Because you cannot dial it up to 10 and stay there all year. I mean, you couldn't keep it up. You'd be burnt out. You couldn't, like you said, you couldn't keep that low body fat all year, because the amount of work that it takes. I mean, but you can do it for periods of time. But when it comes to short-term goals, maybe the short-term goal is 12 weeks and it's to get really, really lean. But what I always tell people is you got to know what's next. You got to know what's next. And so doesn't mean you're going to keep working this level of hard, or it could be that you want to drop it down a little bit and you're in a little bit of a maintenance style, or you're changing your goal just a little bit, or maybe it could be that you're actually dialing it up another notch. But it's going to change in seasons. And so that's why athletes, they have off season, they have preseason, they have in season, they have all these different levels of intensity throughout the year. And that's healthy, I believe. And it's healthy, not just physically, but mentally. But what's setting yourself up to fail is if you don't know what's coming next. You always have to know if your training is going to change. You got to know. You can't just like, well, when this is over, then I'll take a little time off. Then if you don't answer the question, what's next, then the answer is going to be answered for you, and it's nothing. And that's how you fall off track.
Yeah. And that's how, I mean, and one thing, people give bodybuilding a hard time and all that. And of course, there's steroid use and all the different things that are involved in that. But the research and development that's come out of that lifestyle is super interesting to me, because I don't know if you've used reverse dieting with any of your clients, but that's one thing that's come out to where it's like literally, instead of going to a big, like, aggressive way to do it and then just getting off the wagon, so to speak, and doing like 3 weeks of cheat meals, they start to add a little bit of calories back in. And I think that's something that's come out of that part of the fitness industry. I mean, back when I was training in like literally 1995. And so we didn't know what the hell we were doing. It was the Susan Powder era and Tony Little. And it's like, fat was the enemy back then. And, it's now keto is here, all of this stuff. So it's great how we learn over time.
Yeah, I'm 46. I'm just a couple years younger than you, but I definitely, my body has been my own science experiment a lot over the years. And I feel like that's how a lot of us in the fitness industry have learned. We know about so much stuff because we've done so much stuff, and we've gone through it ourselves. We've gone through most of the diets and most of the different ways of eating, the different strategies, and we've gone through most about everything. And so and for a lot of this stuff, there's some things out there that fitness professionals would know right away. This is something I want to steer my client away from. But there's a lot of things out there that, it might work for my client, it might not. It's like, just because it worked for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And just because it didn't work for someone else doesn't mean it might not be a good fit for you. And so sometimes you have to kind of trial and error different things to see if it's a good fit for you and your lifestyle.
Yeah, I like that, because we've done it, right? Like intermittent fasting and keto and low carb and high carb and low fat and all these things, usually for ourselves. And so over time, we're not that different in age. So we've dialed in what really kind of like, I know what works for me, and in terms of like time under tension and load and all, how long my workouts should be and all that. The nice thing is having that bank of knowledge, like you can then try the basics for your clientele, but then dial that in much more quickly for each one according to their own body type and their needs and their lifestyle and everything else.
Yeah, definitely having the history with them, it definitely makes it easier to kind of figure out what works and where to get started with it and stuff.
Yeah, tell me why. So if someone said, "Hey, why should I hire a personal trainer?" Right? Because what's the average now that it costs monthly to get a personal trainer? Because it's been a while for me.
I'd say between 75 and 85 a session.
Okay,
that's probably the normal going rate.
Yeah, so I mean that's not bad if you're doing three times a week or whatever. It's less than $500 a month, which is half of what most people's car payments are. One of my guests said you either pay for health now or you pay for health later, right? Yeah. And so you're either spending $500 a month on training, plus some supplementation if you need it, good and healthy food, all of that, or you get to pay for a bypass later on. You that kind of thing.
And the good news is, I mean, most fitness instructors, like training one-on-one with me would be the most expensive, of course, and especially if you train multiple days a week. But I have sessions with partners, I have sessions with groups, I have online training, I have hybrid training where it's maybe one by yourself and then the rest on your own throughout the week. And so there's different ways to make it more affordable, but so there's ways good fitness professionals got into this because we want to help people. And so you want to make an option to be able to help as many people as you can. But if you were having a tough time justifying it, if that's something, if you're listening and you have a tough time justifying it, which is a normal thing, here's what I would challenge you to think about. It's like, whether it be for your job or anything else, there's probably a ton of accountability there for you to be successful. Right. And so I have my own trainer, and I've had my own trainer for years.
Me too.
I love having a trainer. I don't want to ever have one go without one for very long. And she's great. And I train her as well. So we're both trainers. And so it's a good fit. But I've had one, I probably had a trainer for 12 years now. At least, maybe longer than that. But here's what there are times. So our motivation fluctuates throughout the course of the year. And so when I have someone that's kind of hitting the reset button, and so they're restarting again, I have a coaching program I call the Fitness Reset. And the part of it is figuring out how fitness fits in your life. And so we're not picking up where you left off. You're right now, what your life looks right now. How does fitness fit? Is you're answering that question. So you're not trying to do something that doesn't fit. But the other part of that is, how much accountability do you need right now to be successful? And so my motivation fluctuates a lot during the year, where there'll be times where I'm really in a workout mode and a zone, and I can't wait for my next workout. I'm killing my workouts. I feel strong. They're empowering to me. And, I don't need as much accountability then, because I could hold myself accountable if I needed to, and it'd be easy. But there are other times of the year where if my training partner tells me she's sick, I probably won't work out that day. Like I need her standing over me, watching me do every rep, because I don't want to do it. And we're lying to ourselves if we don't all admit that is the case sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to work out and you need that extra accountability. But when I think about accountability, I think about this: the more important something is to me, the more I want to set myself up for success. And that's all accountability is. You're setting yourself up for success. You're going to make sure that you reach your goal. And accountability comes in all phases. It can come with a personal trainer. It can come with a workout buddy. It can come with a walking partner, like a dog. Sometimes it's a great accountability buddy. Or it could be a class where you get to go see your friends, and it just fits perfectly in your schedule. And so accountability comes in all forms, but we have this block in our head sometimes where it feels like we're doing something wrong if we get help on something. And sometimes people can think that way about adding some accountability to their lives, so that you shouldn't. You should be thinking about it. This means so much to me. I'm making sure I'm going to be successful.
Yeah, and I always like to think about it in other service professionals, right? Like if you have a very simple tax return, like one W-2, then you could probably jump on TurboTax and do your thing, right? It's not that complicated. I have 4 LLCs, and so I hire a CPA to do my taxes, right? Like I would be an idiot to try to do all that by myself. And I think the human body is so complicated, both physically, physically, mentally, spiritually. I think getting people to realize that it's so important to get that expert help. Not only from accountability, just from basic knowledge. It's like, let's work together more often for 3 months. And then so that it kind of depends on where you're starting. Right. And so you have some options there for people, but you need that expert information to help you to maximize what you're doing and to save you from wasting time. My CPA can do my CPA requires me for about an hour to do all of my taxes. If I tried to do it for myself, it would be 80 hours worth of work plus, and I'm probably going to spend an extra 10 grand in taxes. Same thing with working out. If you have your workout, you know exactly what to do every time you come in. That's a 45 to 50 minute workout. You're out the door or whatever, whatever that time frame is, and you're getting the maximum results.
Yeah. Well, and like you said about knowledge, we don't know this stuff. And I mean, unless you're working in the fitness field, we haven't been taught this stuff because we don't learn it in school. We don't learn we should, well, we don't learn how to exercise. We don't learn how to eat right. We don't learn how to meal prep. We don't learn things like that in school when we grow up. So unless we learn it from parents that are really fitness conscious or coaches we might have, then we don't learn it. And so it's just same way. And so you have to, sometimes a gym can be very intimidating, but if a fitness professional normally is not, if he is, then he's in the wrong profession. I mean, fitness professionals are here to help you. I always used to be intimidated. I mean, one thing is this is a little bit different. So hopefully don't compare, you can offend anyone, but I always hated when I had my own business to bring my computer to get worked on if I had some technology problems, because the Best Buy used to have the Geek Squad, it was called. Yep. And I felt like I was looked down on and made to feel like an idiot every time I went there. Like I'm supposed to know this stuff somehow, but who's ever taught me? I'm like, how am I supposed to know this stuff? And I think sometimes people have that same kind of thought when they go to a personal trainer. Like I'm just gonna that's how sometimes we get stuck behind. I need to hire a personal trainer, but I need to get in a little bit better shape first. No, that's the personal trainer's job, is to help you do everything right. And so we kind of have this wrong perception sometimes of fitness professionals that are out there. 90% of them are very caring. They're in it to help you improve your quality of life. And that's why they started their profession, because they have a passion for helping people. And so sometimes we have to kind of remind ourselves that it can be a little intimidating.
Yeah, and to do your best to create a non-intimidating, caring environment for people. And I always try. I don't work out at a gym, a commercial gym anymore, but when I did, I try to look for people that look like they're struggling, but also look like they're open for help. Because I mean, I'm a car guy and I can't go to car shows anymore because all I see is scratch paint whenever I go to car shows. And it's the same thing going to the gym. It's like all I see is terrible form. It's so, but to be able to offer help, I saw this video the other day where this girl was she was squatting, and she was clearly someone that has squatted before, but she was trying to lift more than what she normally did and just kept failing. And then she was working out by herself, and a guy offered to help her, which is a dangerous thing to do for a male, especially he was like our age. She was probably in her 20s. But the video was all about what gym life is supposed to be like, because then he helped her. And when you're helping someone squat, you usually have to put your hands on the person, like on their waist is typically a good place to kind of give that boost. And it was great because you saw that she hit her PR that day. She got everything she was trying to do. And I think that building that gym community and having that gym environment, both as a trainer and just as someone that's working out, is so important.
Yeah, I love seeing videos like that. It's so important because unfortunately there are a lot of videos that go out there that are either making fun of people or looking down on people or trying to say people are, I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of bad videos out there that really are not a good representation of what gym culture is actually like. And it can make going to a gym or starting a gym membership even more intimidating for someone who could really use it. And so stories like that are just so awesome to hear.
Have you seen the guy Joey Swole?
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
TikTok guy. I love that guy because he is just calling out all the nonsense about what you're saying, you know, because it's, if you're not familiar, look him up. He's pretty funny because he literally, and he's right, typically. He's showing videos of people making fun of other people in the gym and calling them out. Basically, that's, you know, and I love that. I love his content for sure.
Yeah, me too. I found stumbled across him a few years back, and I love him. Yeah, he's great.
And dude, I mean, he's pretty much the definition of a meathead if you look at him from the outside, right? Like he's a big I'm assuming he's juiced a little bit, you know, I'm on TRT, so technically I'm juiced. So I can't talk poorly about that. But like I love how his approach is to try to then call out that bad gym culture, and you know, a lot of times it's the people that are recording themselves and all that stuff that's going on now. But to your point, that's not what all gym culture is about. I want to talk to you just in general about, and you know, I want to be respectful of your time, but in general, where we are as a country, right? Like I think we're pushing 75% plus in that obese category now, or it's starting. They're expecting it to get that. I had a guest on a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how the military had to lower their standards because all of the 18 to 24-year-old men are too fat to pass basic PT. Like, where are we as a country, and what do you think as fitness professionals that, and people that I don't necessarily consider myself a fitness professor, but I'm in that realm, right? Like, how can we help to push our communities and country in a better direction in that case?
Yeah. Well, I think part of the obesity stats and different things like that come up, I think part of the problem is the root of the problem is this people aren't finding things that stick in their life. And it's all about, I mean, we're flooded with instant gratification and promises of fast results or with little or no work on our part. Like the farther we get away from fitness being a part of our life, the more we desire change and to look and feel better, and the easier prey we become for people like that are preying on us with all these fast instant results. I call that instant gratification. My word for it is turkey bacon. I call it turkey bacon because I hate it. I hate turkey bacon. Everyone loves bacon, but turkey bacon is not bacon. And so I'll get mad just when I see it in the store because I'm like, this is just so false advertising. But when you think about it, that is what all these promises are.
There's nothing bacon about turkey
bacon. It's not bacon, but that is what all of these promises are. It looks like what you want. It looks exactly like the real thing. But when you get it, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to realize right away, this is nothing like what I thought it was, and it doesn't fit me. But so I mean, that's what it is. And unfortunately, you know, fitness professionals and fitness influences and stuff like from people like us, you know, we are outnumbered still by these predators that are giving instant gratification. But I do feel like in the last couple of years, we are starting to win the battle. But I think it's just our message, the way we talk to our clients and the way we help them understand that path that promises you an easy path is just going to be temporary. It's not going to fit in your life. And so whatever results you do get from it, if you force yourself to do it, it's not going to be very long because it's not going to fit in your life. You have to figure out what fits in your life if you want to get long-term success. And I think we're starting to make a breakthrough lately in the last few years, and more people are starting to share this message of long-term success and figuring out what fits in your life. And more people are shooting down some of these instant gratification promises that don't really do anyone any good. And so that's, I mean, a lot of the scammers and everything on YouTube that like V-Shred and some of these other people are getting exposed, and that's a good thing. And so that's going to help us win the fight in the long run. But I mean, if you want to get long-term success, I mean, I'm sure you know who V-Shred is, but he's someone he'll pop up. Just, I said it now. Someone someone listening to this show is probably going to get ads because of it. He's everywhere. And unfortunately, he's part of the problem, but I think we're winning the fight.
Yeah. I mean, Liver King was another one that kind of is like, just eat carnivore and all that stuff. And anybody that knew anything about anything We all knew he, like, dude, just admit it. No one cares. Your content is still fine if you had just admitted it. You know, he's got the steroid belly, and like, you don't get that ripped unless your testosterone levels are 3,000 to 4,000. Like, it's just not, not going to happen. So I've always said, if I didn't have ethics and morals, I would have made a whole lot more money in the fitness industry. Right. Those have kept us more, we didn't get rich because of that stuff, for sure. Yeah. It's a real challenge. And I think really communicating with people that fitness is like a lifetime of health and fitness is not easy. There's nothing, like, it is a daily decision. On some level, it becomes a habit for people, but just like we've been talking about, we have to decide: are we doing legs today? Are we doing our Monday workout? Are we doing our Tuesday workout? But it's like, there is nothing easy about maintaining health and fitness for the rest of your life. But it's 100% worth it. Like, that's the thing. I want to be 100 years old and be able to lift and be strong and, all that stuff. Like, that's my goal.
Yeah, I echo that same language. I say it all the time. I'm making fitness a priority. You'll never hear me say that it's easy. But what I think the misconception about it, that it sometimes stops people from getting started, is there is an illusion out there that we have to be perfect when it comes to fitness. And we get that from New Year's resolutions. We hear 6 weeks in the year, we hear about all the fails. We don't ever hear anything positive about New Year's resolutions. Otherwise, fitness professionals would love them, because we help people set goals for a living, right? But it's all about
New year,
failing.
new you, baby. Just like last year's New Year, new you, which still the old you.
but it's February 15th, so now you might as well wait and start again next year.
That's right.
You failed. And then the 21 days to build a habit myth that comes up too, that leads you to believe, not only is it not right because it makes you think that that's all it takes to get consistency, but it also leads you to believe that you have to be perfect for 21 days, perfect without mistake. And perfect is way too, no one should set that bar for themselves, because it's unachievable. We're all going to make mistakes. You're going to miss a workout from time to time. You're going to, you're going to go through the drive-through because you didn't plan ahead one time. You're going to eat something you didn't plan. You're always going to make mistakes. It's not going to be just a smooth sailing line from the start to the finish. There's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So you don't have to be perfect. You can be like 60 days out of 70 of doing what you said you're going to do is going to get you way more results than 21 days straight. It's more about, if you fall off track, if you make a mistake one day, how you get back on track right afterwards. And one of my dad's words of wisdom when I was a high school and college athlete, where if I had made a mistake and if I lost the match, I was so hard on myself, and it would affect the next match because I couldn't get over it. And my dad always told me, it was a thing between him and me. It was like, it's what you do next that counts. And I use that almost every day in fitness now, because I feel like we're going to have mistakes constantly. But the way those mistakes, those days of failure, can be the ones that you grow from the most, and it really helps you change your identity to make fitness a part of your life. But it's what you do next that counts. How am I going to do better? How am I going to learn from this? How am I going to make sure next time this doesn't happen?
I like that a lot. And being conscious of kind of your, once you begin to eat right, exercise, and get some level of fitness, recognizing what that feels like, right? Like, that's because, a lot of times I've been traveling a lot, and one of my goals is I've got like this whole block of 3 months where I'm not home much at all. But one of my goals is to continue to be super on point with my nutrition and fitness while I travel, which is, as you know, a challenge. Like, I carry now I meal prep and take everything with me and all that. But because before you travel and, okay, you're having a business meeting, you go out to eat and go to Mexican food and all this stuff. But like, I always ask myself, do people that eat like this, do they feel this way all the time? How miserable must that be to feel like crap? Because, if you go eat like Mexican food's a great one. Because if you go eat a bunch of, if you like Mexican food, but you go eat that heaviness and that weightiness and all that stuff, like, that must be how people feel that eat that way. They just feel that way all the time, and it's just normal.
Yeah, it's crazy. We forget that. It's good. to be able to just think about that for a while. That's that's insane. That used to be a tough thing for me. That's one of the hard lessons I learned growing up, is that I always associated vacation with like overeating, binging, celebrating with, and celebrating always means food for
Yep.
me. And so that was a hard lesson I had to learn. And definitely my wife helped me as we started going vacations together, because we definitely, now we have the habit of, if we go on vacation, we're not always going to eat. We're going to eat a little bit of food because we're on vacation, but we're also going to eat healthy while we're on vacation, and we're going to get our workouts in while we're on vacation. And so it's definitely, but it took a lot of work to change that, because I would come home from vacation feeling terrible like that, because I just went on like a bender because I was on vacation. So, but I bet a lot of people can relate to that. But that is sometimes, there's so many bad habits that we've just been taught from when we were growing up that we have to reframe and kind of change that thought process in our mind.
And sometimes it's just having that win. Like I did a trip that was like a 4-day trip, and I remember that I allowed myself one treat meal during that trip. But then, like, we literally, because Mexican has been in my mind, we went out to eat at a Mexican restaurant, and they ordered, I mean, imagine this. It is literally a pile of French fries with carne asada on it, covered in cheddar cheese, chips on top of that. And then the guy came out and poured melted white cheddar, all of it.
Oh, wow.
Which is horrendous for you. I mean, this plate had to have 8,000 calories in it at the least. I didn't eat one of them because I had already had my treat meal the night before. I didn't eat any of the chips and salsa. I had salmon, and like, I don't know, some sort of side of broccoli or something like that. I felt so good after that, both mentally and physically, that was a huge win. And I would encourage people that if you struggle with some of this stuff, set yourself up for that win, right? Like, and realize that when they were all whining and complaining about how they felt like crap after dinner, I'm like, I feel great. Let's go for a run. Where's the gym? But it's that win, right? Like, you have to set yourself up. And I was almost forced to do it with all this regular travel, because I sometimes, like, you go on vacation. It's like, okay, I have a week of vacation, but then I'm home for like 3 months, right? So then I can kind of fix it. I'm home for like 3 days. So if I don't get it right on all these trips, I'll be like 20 pounds heavier by New Year's.
Yeah.
And so I just have to be consistent. But I love that feeling of getting home from a trip and feeling still lean and healthy and ready to work out, versus like, I feel like crap, I need a nap. Right?
Yeah. I've this last couple of years, I've got to feel that a couple of times, and it is so rewarding, especially when you have the history behind you of knowing what normally those trips are like for you. But it can be. I mean, you might have that split second while you see that pile of awesome food of 8,000 calories. You might have a little bit like, I'm missing out, or I'm making a big sacrifice here. But then, I mean, it's going to be quickly replaced with empowerment, and that you really overcame a huge challenge, and proud of yourself. I mean, that is a great feeling.
Yeah. So celebrate the wins. I don't know if there's anything else you want to point out or say while we're here. I do want to get information about like how people learn more about you. I know you do online training, and I know you got some books and other content out there, so feel free to give us that. But I want to be respectful of your time and kind of wrap up here.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and direct people. So if you listen to the show, I always give a freebie to the audience, since I love to do that. But I'd mentioned earlier I'd have a book series, Make Fitness a Priority. And so Make Fitness a Priority, How to Win the Fight Against Your Excuses. That was the first book, and really kind of what really turned me into a trainer. I was a personal trainer at a gym, but when I wrote that book, that is really what turned things, made me the personal trainer I am now, of helping people really get long-term success and making more of an impact to people as a fitness professional should. But that book, we'll keep that in the show notes, but you can get a free PDF copy of that just for listening to the show. And so hopefully there'll be some takeaways in there. But I'll also share the Fitness Pivot. That is my website, thefitnesspivot.com, and where you can find me everywhere. And we also have a Fitness Pivot platform. That is an easy platform that for training and accountability. There's tons of workouts on there. It's a free platform to go on to, by the way, but we have accountability challenges and things like that. So trying to, as much as we can, have a community but it's online. So if you don't live in the area, you can be a part of the community as well with us. And so that is something that we've definitely got very good building things like that since COVID. And so this is one we've leaned into. So in making a negative a positive there with that, but it's an awesome community full of a ton of great resources. So if you're someone who wants to become a fitness fisherman or wants to go through that identity change of being able to show up as the best version of yourself, no matter what life is throwing at you, then we would love to help with the Fitness Pivot community. But you can find me by downloading the book, and we'll put the link to the platform of this Fitness Pivot community in there as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Chad, I thank you so much, man. Good luck with everything you got going on, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Maxed Out Man podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. This is going to be one of the last episodes for the year 2024. We're going to take a little bit of a break. So I would encourage you to go to maxoutman.com/podcast. You can find all the episodes there, or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the major platforms, as well as YouTube. So we're going to take a little bit, just a 6 weeks, 8 weeks break, do some re-engineering of the podcast, and we will be back with new episodes. So thank you so much for your support and listening. If there's any particular guests you'd like to see, go ahead and send me an email at podcast@maxoutman.com. Be happy to get those people on. And, or if there's any topics that you want us to search out potential guests, I'd love to hear that as well. So thank you so much again. Don't forget to go to maxoutman.com and check things out there, and rate and review the podcast.
If you're looking to really maximize your life and become the man you were made to be, head over to maxedoutman.com and get your journey started today.